Nothing in the sky seems unusual, until the stars themselves begin bending in ways the human eye was never meant to witness. Even light, the fastest traveler in existence, can be forced to change direction by an object unlike anything else in the cosmos. Astronomers don't always discover these cosmic giants by seeing them directly. Instead, they watch the universe behave in completely impossible ways. Picture an evening where familiar constellations quietly begin changing shape without a single cloud crossing the sky. Navigation systems would fail long before anyone understood the astonishing force quietly waiting just beyond the darkness. Far from any planet, enormous rivers of glowing matter can begin circling something that remains completely invisible to every observer. For the first time, the hidden source comes into view, yet it still refuses to reveal its true shape. Nearby suns don't simply vanish. Their blazing outer layers are gradually stolen, creating one of the brightest spectacles anywhere in the universe. Rather than falling straight inward, this blazing material forms an enormous whirlpool before reaching its final destination. Surprisingly, the darkest object ever discovered is surrounded by some of the hottest and most luminous matter known to science. Temperatures here climb so high that ordinary matter transforms into an electrified ocean, brighter than entire collections of stars. Violent turbulence tears through this blazing ring, releasing astonishing amounts of energy every passing moment. Instead of hiding distant galaxies, this extraordinary phenomenon can actually make them appear several times at once. Reality behaves almost like flexible fabric, curving so dramatically that familiar shapes become almost impossible to recognize. Against all expectations, colossal streams of energy can burst outward at nearly the speed of light instead of falling inward forever. Every instrument keeps transmitting perfectly, yet the surrounding universe already refuses to behave according to common intuition. Looking through this region feels like staring into a hall of mirrors built from entire galaxies instead of glass. That dark outline isn't the object itself. It's the silhouette left behind after escaping light becomes physically impossible. Some rays narrowly escape after incredible detours, carrying the last visible clues from the edge of this extraordinary region. The closer our journey continues, the more ordinary ideas about distance, direction, and perspective quietly fall apart. Clocks near this extraordinary region refuse to agree with those far away, revealing one of Einstein's strangest predictions. Escaping radiation gradually loses energy, changing color before carrying its final message across the cosmos. Perspective completely breaks down, allowing places hidden behind you to appear directly in front of your eyes. Every path becomes a delicate balance, where the slightest difference decides between freedom and a one-way journey into the unknown. Nothing outside follows familiar rules anymore. Yet every instrument insists the spacecraft remains perfectly under control. Ancient constellations suddenly lose their familiar patterns, rearranging themselves into breathtaking optical illusions. A single distant beacon can appear several times at once, creating an illusion that seems impossible until physics explains it. From the smallest particles to the largest galaxies, every traveler obeys the same invisible geometry surrounding this extraordinary object. Up and down gradually lose their meaning, leaving direction itself as one more illusion waiting to be abandoned. Right here, every possible escape route quietly comes to an end without a sound or a warning. Surprisingly, the onboard cameras keep working perfectly, even while the universe outside becomes almost impossible to recognize. Messages continue traveling outward, yet each new signal takes longer to arrive than the one before it. Geometry itself begins changing shape, proving that even straight paths can no longer remain perfectly straight. After such a violent approach, an unexpected calm reveals one of the universe's most astonishing and mysterious frontiers. The most surprising discovery is this: there isn't a visible wall waiting ahead, only a boundary defined entirely by physics. Observers watching from far away would never witness a dramatic crossing, only an image that appears to slow almost endlessly. From aboard the mission, everything could appear surprisingly ordinary, despite the extraordinary view unfolding beyond the windows. Each outgoing transmission loses energy along its journey, carrying progressively weaker evidence back across the immense distance. Even after decades of research, this remarkable frontier continues challenging humanity's deepest understanding of reality itself. Every calculated trajectory reaches exactly the same limit, marking a frontier that mathematics predicts with astonishing precision. Equations suggest that the surrounding geometry becomes increasingly extreme, challenging every instinct built from everyday experience. Two perfectly accurate clocks can honestly report different amounts of elapsed time, without either one making a mistake. Beyond this point, established physics offers remarkable ideas, but no direct observations have confirmed exactly which picture is correct. Perhaps the greatest mystery isn't what we already know, but how many extraordinary discoveries are still waiting to be uncovered. Standing nearby would reveal a sky unlike any place in the universe, where familiar stars appear in astonishingly unfamiliar positions. Every glance becomes breathtaking because the surrounding heavens fold into patterns no telescope on Earth could ever naturally capture. Rather than traveling forever in straight lines, countless photons perform extraordinary detours before continuing across the universe. Entire galaxies can briefly resemble glowing circles, creating one of nature's most beautiful visual illusions. Even after decades of observation, this extraordinary phenomenon continues revealing surprises that challenge our deepest understanding of the universe. Change your viewpoint, and that razor-thin glow suddenly reveals a much larger structure hiding around the darkness. A distant star can seem to move from its true position because its rays are forced along a radically curved route. Here, even a spacecraft's natural route can curve without its engines firing, simply because space-time itself has been distorted. Get too close, and even a star can be stretched into a spectacular stream of superheated material. Those stellar fragments can collide at tremendous speeds, converting their motion into spectacular bursts of radiation. Deep inside the glowing disk, countless streams race around the darkness, moving at speeds that would seem impossible anywhere else. At this distance, even a tiny change in trajectory can decide whether a particle escapes or disappears beyond the cosmic boundary. A beam that should travel straight can curve around the object and return toward the universe it came from. From far away, the entire spectacle compresses into a tiny patch of sky, yet that small image hides an unimaginable amount of energy. At the heart of a galaxy, this hidden giant can quietly influence the motion of stars across an enormous region of space. Thousands of stars can orbit an invisible heavyweight, revealing its presence through motion rather than direct observation. When a massive star ventures too close, its own atmosphere can become the raw material, feeding the cosmic engine nearby. What began as one enormous cloud can become countless blazing streams, each following a dramatically different path. When these streams crash together, their immense kinetic energy can erupt as brilliant flashes visible across enormous cosmic distances. From millions of light years away, the entire galaxy looks tiny, yet its central darkness can influence an astonishing amount of surrounding matter. As the material plunges inward, enormous tidal forces stretch it into thin, luminous strands before it reaches the deepest regions. An asteroid approaching too closely can be pulled apart, turning one solid body into a trail of rapidly moving fragments. A single encounter can produce three completely different fates: escape, orbit, or an irreversible fall beyond the boundary. For a distant observer, the approaching traveler appears to slow dramatically as its clock falls further out of sync. What looks like a tiny distortion through a telescope is actually the result of countless photons following radically curved paths. At a galaxy's center, stellar orbits can reveal an invisible giant without ever showing the object directly. Even an apparently empty cloud can hide a violent process, with glowing material betraying what lies concealed within. Sometimes the strongest evidence is motion itself, revealing an unseen companion through an unmistakable gravitational dance. When another galaxy passes behind the dark object, its distant glow can be stretched into spectacular arcs and multiple images. One side of the rotating disk can appear dramatically brighter when its rapidly moving material approaches the observer. From a spacecraft, the darkness would seem strangely enormous, surrounded by a universe squeezed into an increasingly narrow view. Two travelers can follow the same journey, yet experience dramatically different amounts of elapsed time, depending on where they are. Imagine space behaving like a flexible landscape, bending more severely as you travel toward the source of the distortion. A distant observer may receive radiation from several apparent directions, even though it began at one single source. What looks like a tiny patch of darkness can belong to a structure influencing an entire galaxy on an almost unimaginable scale.